What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
What's up, everybody? Yes, we are an hour earlier than usual today. I've got a packed day, so wanted to get this in. We might not go as long as usual either, just because of the things I gotta get done. And of course, I'm sure this chapter is like crazy because we're in the middle of Roxy's Beck stuff. If it gets to a point where everything is too crazy and I gotta jump, then we'll consider having like a part 2 during the week. But get into this here after some donos that had come in prior to the stream from Veronica. 3 different questions. She said, "Hi, Captain. Another tinfoil one. Since everyone wants Buggy to have a brother, how about Frankie? Maybe there was such a theory back in the day. Buggy Flam, Cuddy Flam." I mean, anything is possible, probably. Buggy and Frankie are close in age. I think we did the math last week, or the last time we were here. So it was like Frankie's 36 now, Buggy's 38. It probably wouldn't work just because Buggy was... Well, actually, do we know when Buggy joined the Roger Pirates? Obviously, we know Shanks was like... when he was, a year old, a baby. But I can't remember if we ever got confirmation when Buggy joined. So that's the only thing that, that's what would make that work for me. Second one was, I know everybody is for teaching Buggy to be brothers, but hear me out. Roxy Foxy. I'm for teaching Foxy to be brothers. Either that or Foxy's a huge Zebek fan. Foxy being a Zebek fan, that's a possibility just because of the Davey Backfight connection, but man, I just, I want to know more about like the Davy Jones of it all, because it seems like they might both be like from the same school, like they both, look up to the same ideals and stuff, but now I gotta look up how old Foxy is, because I feel like I remember looking up Foxy and thinking he was gonna be like 40 or something, and then he was like in his 20s. I might be wrong, but I feel like I remember learning his age and being like, really? Like, I think he's younger than I think he's supposed to be. And then the last one was, am I the only one who wonders about problems with the Holy Land security? Emmett, Harold, Zebek, Fisher, Tiger, Sabo, Bonnie, Kuma, who else? Isn't this supposed to be the safest place in the world? You're not wrong there. There's a lot of people going in and out of there, and they won't be the last. We'll be heading there soon enough, and by soon enough, that could be years, but in the big scheme of things, soon enough. Alright, I'll take a quick look at chat, and then we're going to jump into the chapter here. I'm pulling it up now. Ooh, we got a color spread. Ooh, Sanji is dripping. What? the return of Mr. Prince. Oh, wow. This color spread might be an all-timer. Sanji's got the Zoe coat back? Like the during Dressrosa Zoe, where he had the orange coat. This is how I need Sanji to look on the regular. Zoro's got the goggle, the Skypiea goggles back, different color. We got a Scopper color scheme. Rayleigh there. Luffy with the, Roger with the laugh. Everybody's in. This is an all-timer. Nami in there too. I don't know. I don't know if it's recency bias, but I might throw this in the top 10. Top 10 color spreads. Are people with me on that, or... Rate the fits? Sanji's 11 out of 10. Like, that's one of the... That's like... His fit gets this. Like, legitimately one of the best fits I've ever seen Sanji in. And it's also the glasses, too. Like, that's part of why I love Mr. Prince. Like, the glasses? Come on. Come on. Nami? 11 out of 10. Zoro? So, like, 9.5 bordering on 10. Rayleigh? I can only imagine that he's got his 4 out of 10 fit there. Rayleigh is never dripping, and I know he's got the chonkless on, so I can't. Stopper's low key about it. He's like, you know, if it's what he's wearing in Elbaf, like, I don't know, 6, 5, 6, like, it's not great. The glasses are doing a lot of work. Luffy, outside of his, you know, open toes, which he's always got, one of his better fits. You know, so that's, we'll say 7 for Luffy. 7 for, oh, I like the gloves. You know what? I'm gonna bump it to 8 because I just noticed the gloves. And then, Brooke's got a good fit there. Can't really see everybody else. You know, everybody else is kind of hidden. Usopp's got a good one. Yeah, let's get into this though. Well, actually, wait. I did say I was gonna say hi to the chat. So yeah, we got AJ here, Chin, Ty, what's up, man? Jabril. Ty asked if I'm unspoiled entirely, completely unspoiled. I don't know a thing. I did go on Twitter at one point, and I saw that I had a ton of notifications, so people were tagging me and stuff, but I didn't look at anything. Hey, Luke. I'm just seeing everybody there. Chin said Robin looks thumbs up. I didn't even see Robin. Where is Robin? Oh, I see her now on the shoulder. She needs some pants though. All right. Here we go. Okay. Back in time. We're under attack by pirates. Why aren't you men fighting back? You're useless. A group of idols roam the seas. They stole everything we have, and the menfolk were no help at all. Didn't even try to fight. How are we going to make a living now? Even the Navy had trouble dealing with them. They were known as the Kuja Pirates. A band of warriors from the exotic... Are we going to see Toritoma? Or Tritoma? Whatever the name is? Oh, wait, no, this is Gloriosa. Yeah. But we might see a young version, depending. All right. But are they trying to imply that somebody had Boa's fruit here? Or are they just... because they're, you know, Kuja pirates? Because that's kind of confusing. Alright, let's see. Hey. Alright, we got the Gloriosa lore coming in. Page 4. Alright. These pirates were strong and beautiful and shunned the presence of men. I'm so sick and tired of looking like this all the time. Only I could strip away this beauty of mine. Don't worry. Just give it 38 years. Lady Gloriosa, you're a goddess. Alright, Empress of Amazon Lily, Gloriosa. Future Grandma Nyan. She's so adorably devious. Love her. I feel my brain being bathed in light. Ooh, asking for permission to have a heart attack. Next page. Alright. Can we get any hints that this is Luffy's mom? Alright, we got Tritoma. Lady Gloriosa, look at your fan letters. Tritoma, what is that enormous pile back there? Those are for Lady Shacky. There's 100 times more over there. Amazon Lily, Empress 2 generations later. It's preposterous. I'm the captain of this crew. Yeah. She's like an icy jewel of fury. Yes, the true star of the times who outshone even Gloriosa's beauty was her first mate. I'm loving the lore. I'm loving the lore. Bring it. Bring it. Enemy ship approaching. Captain, is this thing on? Roger speaking. This is Roger. It's the Roger Pirates. Don't bother resisting Kuja Pirates. Alright, so this should be how Rayleigh and Shacky meet. Next page. We got ourselves a double pager. Alright. Today, once and for all, you're finally going to hand over your first mate, Shacky. Okay. You haven't learned your lesson already, Roger? You already have my affections to return. Gloriosa was into Roger? God. Alright, so this was the Boa and Luffy of this time. Caesar. What were you expecting to see? Lady Shacky. Someone once said that her every move and gesture embodied pure seduction. Flowers, please take my flowers. In her presence, flowers wilted and crumbled. Are we implying she has a power? Birds forgot how to sing. They just screech in pain. And people erupted into fighting. Don't touch Shacky. Oh, Gabon. She calls my name, I lose all strength. It's been a while, Roger. What'd you do to Gabon? Love you, Shacky. You too, Roger. In the face of such beauty, the mighty made fools of themselves. Alright, so... Shacky's Boa's mom, right? Like, that's what we're saying. Which I've been saying. I mean, if we're going to confirm this or whatever, like, the biggest clue was the way Rayleigh just pulled up to Amazon Lily to fight Blackbeard. Like, there was so much dad energy there. But I mean, like, the hair, the vibe, like, it's gonna be a little sus if Shacky isn't Boa's mom at this rate. Moving on to the next page. It's also really interesting that we're taking this side quest anyway, since this has nothing to do with rocks yet. I mean, obviously Gloriosa will become part of the rocks, but... Alright, so here's Shacky pulling up to Roger, but I will belong to no one. Pull all the treasure out of your hold. Souls being taken to heaven. Don't you understand the honor of being loved by me, Roger? Move it, Gloriosa. I can't see Shacky. Crazy. Feel for you, Ray. Yeah, it's a bunch of idiots over here. Alright, so it's a classic situation of everybody's falling head over heels for Shacky, but the person who, like, doesn't care is the one who eventually gets her affections. So I guess we should be looking at Boa and maybe Zoro for Endgame. Because I feel like if they ever met, it would probably be a situation like that. Gloriosa, it's the Navy, it's Roger and Kuja. Make sure to snap some pics. We can sell those, knock it off. Hurry, pack up the goods. Don't leave a single crumb of bread. At least leave some food. We gotta start moving, prepare to sail. Take a look, Roger. That's Garp ship. It's what? Disregard that order. Listen up, boys. Flatten them all. So we got a Garp cameo in this one. They're just Oda's just throwing it all at him. And now we can see what Shacky was talking about back in the archipelago, how she used to have run-ins with Garp. Now we're actually physically seeing this. Yeah. Next page, Meteor Fist, Rampaging Spirit. Okay, we're seeing Garp and Roger clash. Garp is looks like he's winning this one. Roger, Garp, and Rocks, men whose tales were spread as legends in the great age of pirates. Roger. Is this a double? Yeah, it is. Okay. First clashed here in their hot-blooded youth. Huh? Lady Gloriosa. Oh. Kuja, meanwhile, were tremendously popular and an indispensable part of the story of this era. Get a grip, sister. These untouchable idols were the desire of all the salty dogs of the sea, and their bounty posters were traded for considerable sums. Hidden cameras and pursuers were an everyday problem for them. Chest feels tight. She's got love sickness for Roger. They're so good. Later. When Shacky took the mantle of Empress, her popularity reached heights never seen before. Page 12. Ida's bar, Elbaf. Boat capsized and Loki was drowning. To be honest, we weren't even sure if we should save him or not. That's how bad his behavior has been while you were gone. Appreciate that. Thanks for saving him. Hang in there, Loki. What do you mean you weren't sure? Save the boy. What if Loki had died out there? Listen, Ida, it was Loki's decision to go out to sea. So what? If you abandon Loki, I'll drown you 100 times. Didn't ask for help. There, you see, that's the attitude he takes. Makes me furious. He's lost his mom, and his dad is too busy to stay home. Loki's just lonely, that's all. Loki calls Ida a hag, asks if Loki wants to live with them. Hyrodin opposes to it, and so does Loki. Next page. You just want to pretend to be my mom and live in the castle, Ida. You just want all the money. Shut up, Loki. Apologize to her. You've crossed the line. You have no idea what Ida's been through. Kids are too sweet, being too soft on him, Ida. I hate the way Loki talks to Ida. It's not fair. And we're seeing a young version of what I imagine is the bartender later that we were introduced to.
Another one.
Just taking a guess. I forget her name, but Mato. Anyway, forget her name. It comes 5 seconds later. All right. You're crying for me, Mato? This world's too good for me. I'm sick of this country already. Everybody's so weak, wimpy, and trashy. I want to be free like rocks. From that point on, every time Rox came to invite Harold to join him, Loki begged and pleaded to join his pirate ship, but never got his way. Finally leaving, aren't you relieved? To tell the truth, I hate all of you too. Next page. Alright, Hachinosu, here we go. Several months after the takeover of Pirate Island by the Rox Pirates. Hey, who are you? I want to join the Rox Pirates. Sure, everybody wants to do that. But you'll never even meet them. The Rox Pirates are the all-stars of evil on this sea. See that fish-shaped rock up there? Apparently that's where they all hang out. Interesting that they call it fish-shaped. Obviously this becomes a skull later on, but... Oh, I see the fish. Yeah, and then they, make it feel like it's a bandana later on, but... we getting those whale piece clues? I feel like this is, I feel like that's what we're doing here, right? It's just another whale symbol in the story. Alright. You want to meet him? Go on. But the further inland you go, the crazier the folks get. I'll give you a little push. Hey, go easy on him. Who's this gonna be? Good luck trying to get there. Silver Axe? What's this? Ah, it's him. Kyo the Hitman. Mobster Kyo, future Silver Axe. Alright, nice. So we finally got the last piece of the puzzle that was named by Sengoku in 957. This guy looks legit. Did anybody go back? I mean, I'm not going to look at chat right now, but I mean, one thing I am going to want to know when I'm done reading is if we can clock this guy as a general zombie. What's Shiki's rival doing here? Powerful figures drawn to rocks brought in other mighty types in their wake. Stay back or he'll kill you. Huh? There. How about that view? Taking the sights. I think opening these holes was the right idea. Don't you agree? Sum it all, there's 2 devil fruits out there I want. One of them is most likely found on Elbaf, and its power will only be truly unlocked if Harold eats it. Interesting. Okay, we got John here. After that, you want to find Galelo, right? I only know them as a legend. Galila. Mom, I've got information I've got my information network on the hunt. There's no hint of a band of frozen giants anywhere. Do we have to go back to Punk Hazard and unfreeze those guys? If they exist, they're corpses. We got Strusen, Linlin's partner. Sparrow's dad over here. Good point. They ain't coming back to life. Shut up, we're talking about dreams here. Next page. Pirate Barbell. Catfish Fishman. Plus, even if they were to somehow be brought back, they have no reason to listen to. That's why I need the power of Harold, King of Elbaf. Can't you just suppress them with sheer strength? Same thing for Harold, just crush him and make him obey you. Kaido here. Don't ever say that to me again. Hey, knock it off, Rocks. You two, Kaido, calm down. We just got this island. You want to smash it to pieces? This crew's bound to fall apart sooner or later. John says, yeah, so why don't we earn a little more before it happens? Take it easy, new kid. Harold's my pal. Say that nonsense again, and I'll get rid of you first, Kaido. We got a big color spread here. Listen up, folks. Elbaf is the key to taking down the Holy Land. If you don't trust me on that, get lost. It's up to you whether or not you want to follow me on the fateful day of our mission. But if you got the stones for it... Look at all these guys. Stick around with me for a bit. I'll show you the peak of the world. Big Mom is looking massive in this shot. What a chapter. Oda's covering a lot here. Like, at this point, I'm like, are we getting God Valley? Because he's just running through the past. And honestly, at this point, like, with Emu being basically on Elbaf right now, Oda might just be like, all right, I'm going to give you all of the information because now this is... We're getting to the end here. This is crazy. Yeah, start here with Gloriosa. Shaggy. Toma. Barb and Roger clashing. Introduction to Silver Axe. John here. Which, by the way, we do need to see how that armband that Luffy gets from Kuja ties into John, you know, that Buggy eventually takes from him and Impel Down. So, still not looking at chat yet, but I think the next chapter has to set up how Gloriosa becomes a part of him. They do a Kuja Davy back? Oh, man. John's treasure. And I also like how he's the one that's, you know, voicing that, you know, they need to earn a little more. So I feel like he's gonna walk away from God Valley with like something and like plant it somewhere and then die. Alright, now let's look at chat. Shout out to DJ Red Comet for being a member.
Together we're stronger. Together we're stronger.
Mr. Bushido supered and said, Silver Axe 100% Drake's granddad. Oh, that's an interesting take. I could actually see that, especially with the X's and everything. Neil Diaz supered and said, perhaps Loki will be the one to free Galila. I mean, we'd still have to go back to Punk Hazard. But the other thing, too, is, like, what did Rox mean that, like, the devil fruit has to be eaten by Harold in order to unlock its true potential? Because the implication here is that Luffy is, you know, the user of this fruit. Unless Loki's fruit is, you know, the key. Because at that point, then, yeah, we're probably going to be taking Loki along with us somehow. You know, even if it's not as, like, an official member of the crew. Shout out to Chin. Super said, Ace in love with Boa, ignoring Nami. Boa winks at Zoro. I mean, that is kind of like what it feels like, right? But actually, you know, I would flip that, because I would say that Shaki is the Boa in this situation. Gloriosa is... It's weird, right? Because Gloriosa is the one that's having the love sickness and the unrequited love, right? So Gloriosa is playing the Boa role.
Savage.
Not necessarily looking like Boa. So I'd actually, like, flip that around. Shout out to Barry with Super said, I bet after they parted ways with Roger, the Kuja got cornered by Rox and they lost Gloriosa to a Davy back fight. Probably. But I think a question is, you know, we have to go back to the God Valley chapters and try to, like, dissect what Gloriosa said back then, because it implied that she was interested in someone on the Rocks Pirates, almost. Unless the context was that she was still talking about Rod. Because I feel like if there was somebody on Rocks that she ended up switching for and was like, oh, I'm in love with this person, and then they actually reciprocated that love, I feel like she would abandon her whole crew. So I think that, I don't know, I don't see them doing a Davy back. I would actually prefer that scenario. So, like, with Gloriosa's Blackbeard's mom. Marshall D. Gloriosa. She's got to have a kid out there somewhere, but I don't know. I feel pretty confident that Boa is Rayleigh and Shaki's kid, though. Neil said Kaio does look like an undercover Marine. Maybe? But why would Sengoku have mentioned him, though? Because Sengoku would have known that they were a Marine. So I feel like that, based off of that, they have to be a pirate. Alejandro Salas, member for 26 months, said, love that Oda is giving simping to Roger's character. Yeah. Barry said, I want to know why Strusen thinks he's part of the team. Yeah. Luis Acevedo said Admiral Zephyr design. Yeah, he does look like Zephyr. I actually did clock that when I was reading it. I was like, I didn't say it out loud, but I was like, this looks like Zephyr. See, now that would have been a good twist, right? That Silver Axe was actually Zephyr, you know, the whole time. If it was all interconnected, then, you know, love that, but let's get these likes up, guys.
Come with me if you want to live.
Neil Diaz, Superden said Dragon Extra Toma. I'm still on that. There's nothing here telling me that that's not what happened. Yo, is Smoker's dad? I don't know. I feel like Smoker having a pirate for a dad is a little weak. Weak in that we would only be finding it out so much later, and I don't feel like it would inform too much of his character. I'd prefer, like, his parents got killed by pirates or something. You know, unless Smoker's really supposed to join the crew at some point, you know, and then it's like, oh, it was in his blood. Brandon said some people were mad because the fact Roger and most of his company folded because it ruins the perfect idea of Roger they had. But I feel like this type of characterization for Roger was inevitable. So people are upset that it looks like Garp was, like, beating Roger. I don't know. Here's the thing, though. It's like, Roger didn't care about any of the things that were going on in the world until after God Valley. So this characterization is not surprising to me. Like, he was just a dude that was free on the seas, just sailing along. And then, after God Valley, like, right before he's about to die, essentially, he gets, like, this epiphany and this kick in the pants, like, okay, you know what, actually, I feel like I should change the world. Like, I've always felt that, like, Roger, you know, he even says I was too early, which, translation, I'm not that guy, buddy. He's letting the reader know, like, I'm not the guy. I've never been the guy. I'm just here to inspire the guy. Someone else inspired me. That's the moment that we still need to see. So here, this is him just, like, moving through the world. He's still an idol, right? I mean, that's the name of the chapter. But I don't know. Oda's got to ask and answer this these BOA allegations here with Shaggy. And then he'll also have to answer the allegations of why Rayleigh didn't go and like save his daughter. Yeah, I could see people looking at this panel of Garp and Roger and being like, Roger's a chump and all this kind of stuff. But it's fine. It's fine. You know, this is still an early version of Roger. You know, you gotta let these characters cook. But yeah, Silver Axe, he's out here looking like Zephyr, Drake. Loki kind of looks like Mr. One also. He's got the same demeanor in his face. Oh, but this guy's huge. Like, I just noticed how much taller he is compared to everybody else. So I don't know if it's going to be a Drake thing. Definitely not a Mr. One thing. Like, I don't know who this guy's going to end up being related to, but this guy's like at least 12 feet tall here, so...
Savage.
Go back to chat here.
Lavish bracket, in a lavish bracket, gotta have it. Racks, I gotta have it. Beat my fabric. Do you see this jacket? Pay my taxes. Trust me, you can track it.
Shout out to Ty. Appreciate you, man. Said Odabox is dropping genealogy like 23andMe, but no mention of dragon yet. Also, we know the world government loves to spin the narrative. What if it wasn't Rox versus Roger and Garp, but Rox teams with Roger, Garp bent on stopping Roger, and the world government pulls out Uranus because it all got too out of hand? I'm telling you, the whatever story we got from Sengoku and all of that, like, is not going to be the whole picture. It's not going to be the whole picture, and I don't even think that Sengoku was there. I think that even if, let's say even if Roger and Zebek do fight, and there is a big clash between them at God Valley, like, you still have the Holy Knights and all of that. Like, they're all teaming up against them. Like, the world government is a mutual enemy. And, or it's what I said, you know, years ago, that it's a thing where, like, Zebek's trying to stop the world government. And then Roger is confused by maybe their brutality or something like that. So he intervenes and he gets in the way of all of it. Ends up helping Garp stop Rox, and then Rox, like, in his final words, like, implants the seed in Roger that makes him go after the poneglyphs and, like, figure out the One Piece and all this other stuff. And, like, oh, I was wrong. You know, like, there's some drama in that, but there's a whole bunch of ways that this thing can go around. Then pulling out Uranus, an ancient weapon involved in all of it, that'd be crazy. No mention of dragon yet. You know, I want a dragon to be there at God Valley because but then I feel like we got an SBS that implied that he joined later afterwards, which is also weird. His dragon's like, I think I did the math. He's 17 during God Valley, so like he's of age to be there. He's of age to have like joined the Marines as well. Oh, there's some weird stuff there. A lot going on. 1 second, guys. You know, and speaking of like the dragon of it all too, it's like you would want Dragon to be there at God Valley to justify why he makes the freedom fighters, why he, you know, creates the Revolutionary Army. Like, if we're saying God Valley is like this pivotal point that like kicked off all of this stuff in the series in the first place, he should be there. But based on where we are in the story, like, I don't know how close we are to God Valley yet. But I guess, I don't know, I guess, I feel like we have a time jump in this chapter itself, too. Because I don't think that's God Valley Roger at the beginning, and not God Valley Gloriosa, because we've already seen Gloriosa. And she looked different. She looked older in those God Valley chapters, unless Oda's like retconning it. So I feel like there's like years, you know, this is 40-something years ago, which ties into what Shaki was saying about Garp. Like, oh yeah, like 40 years ago we used to, you know, run into each other. And that was 2 years ago, so this could be like 43 years ago, something like that. And then by the end of the chapter, we're getting a little bit closer to God Valley because Kaido's already there, and Kaido was 15 during God Valley. So we might be getting close to it. But I do think we started like a few years before the end of the chapter. Vasil Vladimovich supered and said, Silver's Rayleigh stole his captain's crush and let his son die. That man was not riding for Roger at all. Rayleigh is a fraud. Took that man's girl and didn't protect his son. But at the same time, if we're saying that Boa is his daughter, he's even more of a fraud because he did not pull up to the Holy Land to save his daughter when she became a slave. But then, later on in life, decides to pull up to Amazon Lily to protect her from Blackbeard. Again, in the twilight of his life, deciding, all right, let me lock in. Just like Roger. Jacob said people didn't like that Roger was so love-struck with Shaggy. So what? Did they want Roger to... So everybody just had this vision that Roger was just this Chad. And now they're like, man, Roger sucks. It's like, they wanted a Chad. They got one in Zebek. Jin said, notice the egg? Is the egg on the ship already? Oh, wow. The egg is there. Yo. At this point, that's just a design of the ship. I'm sorry. You're not telling me that egg was sitting there incubating for years. I think it's just a metaphor for his own son. It is interesting that he already has the Oro Jackson. I think what would have been cooler is if like he had a different ship, implying that later on like something happened to that ship, and then he got Tom to do that, like mirroring the Mary versus Thousand Sunny transformation. But I don't understand how that egg's still there. Alex Mirren said Silver Axe seems to have a devil fruit that lets him get bigger. Oda was he was just getting sloppy with the art. I went back and I looked at it too, where it does look like he's like normal sized, and then there's like he's taller, normal sized, and then huge, and it's yeah. Luke said, well, Rox then must have wanted one of the devil fruits at God Valley, right? Probably. He did say he wanted, there's two powers that he was looking for. Big Mom's talking about her information network, so if her information network also found out like what fruits are there, it's a possibility. I'd love for it to if we really want to set some things up, they better gas up the Niku. Like that's the one they wanted. Put that importance on that fruit. Put the importance on Kuma. Because that's the fruit that sent the poneglyphs everywhere, in my opinion. So, if we're hiding powers, I think Zebek's got to be looking for the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika and the Niku. Luke said I had assumed they were the Quake fruit to be able to unearth the giants, and then Big Mom's fruit to awaken them. Well. Whitebeard's already on his crew. Whitebeard should already have the power, so... Alex, it feels like one of the fruits he wanted has to have been the darkness fruit. Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about, you know, the Blackbeard connection, that's... I feel like that's what we're supposed to believe. I think it'd be more interesting if it ended up being something different, emphasizing that his son's going on a different path and maybe the wrong one. Emil said, according to Rox, Elbaf is the key. I mean, we're already there. And once he said that, that's when I was like, oh man, we might get God Valley. We might just get it all right here. Jody Liss said, I agree, this chapter humanizes the Roger Pirates, makes them actual characters instead of impossible legends. Yeah. Alejandro Salas super said Sanji stocks are up. He's a simp like Roger. Looks like Ganzui and Big Mom got together to make Charlotte counter and the 3 other brothers. More Nepo baby. Charlotte counter. Oh. What you made me just think of, though, is that look at Silver Axe's hair. And the fact that he's tall, Silver Axe might be Katakuri's dad. Anybody talking about that? Right now I'm leaning more that Silver Axe is Daifuku, Oven, and Katakuri's dad. Because they were all born on the Rocks pirate ship. So they would have been there during God Valley with Perospero. Or Alejandro, are you saying the oldest daughter is Gansui's kid? Compote? Charlotte Compote? And then, like, just got auto-corrected to counter, maybe? Luke said, not going to go back through chat, but has anyone put forward the theory that God Valley is where the giants are frozen? If you go back to Punk Hazard, there's a moment where the Straw Hats get lost, and in the ice are a bunch of giants that are frozen. So I really don't want it to be anything other than that, because then otherwise, like, why did you show us all these people frozen in Punk Hazard? And that's one of those things that just feels like one of those big brain Oda moments where you go back to the beginning and it's like, okay, we're finally paying this weird thing that ended a chapter off.
Savage.
Many, many years later. Catching up on the chat real quick here. Ty said, oh yeah, Lunapine Art dropped the theory that Rocks was planning on building the Arc Maxim with all the gold from Hachinosu. I'm butchering it, but lots of good thoughts. Huh. I'm gonna need to understand how it all ties to it actually getting built, though, by Enel. Leonardo said Katakuri's already 4 years old. Yeah, maybe the timeline doesn't work because Kaido's already there, right? That would have been cool. Shout out to Josh Thunder2. Supered and said, I feel like one of the fruits being Moria's shadow fruit makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Blackbeard had him for a reason. I mean, that is interesting. But I could also see Blackbeard going after Moria just to spite him for, like, going after his father's crew. Unless, you know, like, all of the people that, you know, because we have talked about this, and we already know that there's going to be some sort of betrayal that's going to happen. And I do believe that, like, the characters that were the general zombies are all people that are going to, like, take some deal with the government, maybe even become the first warlords. And, you know, and, like, basically, you know, their version of a plea deal. And that's what's going to end up being the downfall of Rox, is his own people are going to take him out. And then if Moria, for whatever reason, collects all of those corpses, then maybe Blackbeard wanted Moria either to, you know, I mean, it's one of two reasons. Either because he didn't like that, or because he did like that. It's like, well, you got all the people that, you know, killed my dad, basically, so let's work together. I forget, didn't he, did he try to get Moria to join his crew or something? What did he say to Moria? I'm gonna go back to that chapter. That was like 9:21 or something, 9:12. $9.23. That's the fight. So I think I'm getting close. $9.25. Yeah, do you like partying, Moria? Come right on my ship instead. Didn't you read the paper this morning? Yeah, so he asked him to join his crew. Which is interesting. It's interesting. Moria is still going to end up with the Cross Guild. And I want to see how all of this ties into the Cross Guild more than anything, though. Hey. I hope you're using One Pace to get through that Punk Hazard, though. Trust me. Oh, yeah. About to One Pace. Okay, good. I just like... Nice. And definitely keep that through Dressrosa. Right? Because I did One Pace with Chrissy for Dressrosa, and it became her favorite arc. Ty said Blackbeard made Moria an offer far from recruit. Yeah. Brandon asked if I finished the chapter. I finished it like an hour ago. We started early today because I have things I gotta do. We'll probably end early also. catch up on some things. Probably do a reread soon. See if we're missing anything. How was Comic-Con? Comic-Con was all right. You know, there wasn't really a big One Piece presence there. They just sort of they have like this one booth by Toei. The past 3 years that we've gone, they basically had the same one. They just played like Egghead episodes on a screen, and if you signed up, they gave you a little chopper pin. And then around the corner, you can buy some cards. There's a lot of stuff at Comic-Con that's like, it just feels like it's losing its former luster. And you know, one of the big issues is like, Marvel used to do all the big announcements at Comic-Con. Now they don't do that anymore. They do them at D23. And then, you know, there was nothing for, you know, the live action, because the live action's got to dumb, like Netflix has to dumb. So it's like all of these companies, like, save for, I guess, Warner Brothers right now, like they're not really utilizing Comic-Con as like a platform to make announcements anymore.
Savage.
Because they have their own platforms. And what ends up happening is like a lot of these streaming networks use Comic-Con to start promoting their like random shows that have nothing to do with comics or superheroes or manga or anime or anything like that. And they're just like promoting, like, you know, it's not this, but it feels like they're, you know, promoting like Law and Order or you know, or CSI or something. And it's like, yeah, there's a whole panel for this. It wasn't that at all. But that's like, I feel like that's almost the route that we're going. And it's a shame, but the floor was cool. There was a bunch of, you know, still some merch. I feel like it's not, I feel like it's just going downhill a little bit, and I hope it gets back to where it needs to be. Guardian Trees supered and said, who will Neo Mad side with? Caesar knowing about the frozen giants might be big. Ooh, that's a good point, because we did see that in the cover story. I wonder if that's something that Edison could be doing in the background. Now that he's like done a pirate docking with his fellow satellites. That's a good way for Oda to like skip some things, but because it's like, I don't really want to go back to Punk Hazard, but we'll see. You know what? It's going to be Blackbeard. Blackbeard's going to warp there. We're going to see Blackbeard go there. Aokiji going to unfreeze the ice, and then somehow those guys are going to come back to life. And then we'll find out that Aokiji was actually a Punk Hazard to scope it out and see if they were there. So then, like, after the whole thing with Smoker and Doflamingo, like, we can just buy that Kuzan was hanging around the area for a little bit, and then, like, was able to call in, like, yeah, they're here. And then Blackbeard said, wait, we're not ready yet. And then, you know, because plot, whatever. And then they'll go there later. Chance said not even Warner Brothers DC. No, Warner Brothers actually did, you know, like, they had a Peacemaker panel. They didn't make any announcements or whatever, but James Gunn and, like, they were doing things for Peacemaker. Brandon King supered and said, theory of the fish rock looked like that because it housed Kaido's fish fruit. Fish fruit in a fish rock, but then the government stole it, so Rocks wanted it back. I don't know about that one. Because it doesn't look like Kaido, you know? It kind of looked like a whale almost, and I feel like it's just like doubling down on the whale imagery, like the whale tree, whale fountains, like all this kind of stuff. Like, I just want to like get to the, 800 years ago, and then you just see all of these people really into this idea of whales or you know, something like that. I don't know. But I think it's also really cool that like what ends up looking like a pirate, right, with a skull and a bandana and all that, started as a fish. Like that's the interesting thing. And then it's like when we see that island many years ago, we can finally learn why it looked like a fish. Why was it carved that way? Because it has to be man-made. Shaq said that was Dak's theory with Alkaji and Blackbeard. All right, yeah. Dak and I are always like on similar wavelengths anyway, so I'm not surprised he also came up with that.
You loyal.
Shin said, why didn't Gloriosa age as well as Shaki? Because whoever Gloriosa fell in love with died. And also we know that, you know, she was in love with Roger, right? So Roger, you know, rebuffed her advances and Roger died, so she lost her man. But I also buy that she fell in love with somebody else too that was in the Rocks Pirates who also died. So, you know, it's like there's that. And that could be 1157, you know, when we see Gloriosa come onto the you know, the Rocks Pirates, see who she ends up like falling for there, and then, you know, maybe we finally see something in a story where two people are, you know, actually into each other. A novel idea. And then probably get some more information, and 1157 could end with like the cliffhanger that they're going to go to God Valley. Get some other setup for some things. Emil said, I think it would be fun if Boa temporarily joined the Cross Guild like Gloriosa joined Rocks. Yeah, you know, I've thought about that too, and, you know, we've talked about it briefly, that, like, it really would be cool if every, you know, save for Jinbei, every single, like, warlord managed to, like, end up on the Cross Guild, including Boa, and it's like, but it's manufacturing why that would happen is the, you know, the issue for me. Unless it's a thing where, like, whatever we see happen with Gloriosa, like if she ends up like falling in love with somebody else, then maybe Boa like falls in love with somebody that's on the Cross Guild. Boa ends up with Mihawk, and that's the Rayleigh connection. I know a lot of people have said, oh, Rayleigh and Shaki, you know, maybe Mihawk is their kid. I don't know, I like it being Boa better. Brandon said, I can't get over how Luffy like Tritoma's smile is. I know I might be seeing things that aren't there, but it just feels like, hey, I've been on Tritoma as Luffy's mom since, you know, day one. But oh, and when I say day one, also before we even had a name for her, I was like, that Empress that is there, that is unnamed, you know, recently was named. That's a candidate. It's a very, like, it's a high possibility because the timeline works as well for the ages and everything for that to work out. DJBS, member for 49 months, said, hope you're having fun with this chapter. Having a good time with this chapter. It's a good one. I mean, it's... We all know what we're reading. We know what Oda gave us this week. Let's see. All right, so because I do have a busy day today, we're gonna go and look through the chapter one more time, quick, and then I'm gonna start winding things down, wrapping things up. We're an hour and 17 minutes in. Want to finish around 11 my time, or basically an hour and a half. Okay. Which 11's in 9 minutes. I don't think we're, might not end up timing out to be about, 9 minutes, but whatever. Okay, back in this time, I wish Oda really did just lay out the years, though. I like that the Kuja pirates had their, their own, still were using the same boat. Gloriosa looks very different and much younger here than she did in the Kuma flashback. So, figure all that out. Got Tritoma. I know that there is a panel of Luffy smiling exactly like Tritoma here, with the same, lined effects that Oda's drawing here. I feel like I've used it in videos. It's like some sort of, important Luffy moment. I wonder if it's when he's talking to Rayleigh. Hologram. No, it's not that. But I know it's somewhere. Definitely somewhere in the story there is a Luffy smile that looks exactly like that. And I think he's even has closed eyes also. So anyway, Roger Pirates show up. Continuing the reread here. I don't know, everybody's I think this stuff's great, so I don't know what everybody else is talking about. I mean, getting on a snail blowhorn and saying hand over a woman on your crew is kind of wild, but it's for the way that it's played as a gag is interesting. But one thing I want to know is why are flowers wilting and crumbling in her presence? Because it really does imply that she has some sort of ability, but it's it's very crocodile coded. So and obviously it can't be that, but birds stopping singing, that's fine. We can just chalk that up to Oda, saying that, oh, she's so beautiful, blah blah blah. But flowers breaking down, that feels like a power. Takes out Gabon. Takes out Roger. Because I'll belong to no one. But eventually does belong to... You know, it gets into a relationship with Rayleigh, which is great. Alright, Garp shows up. It's a good hit on Roger. And then we do have this Oda box saying later, ... implying that years have passed. Shaggy leaves Gloriosa to go and take the title of Empress. And behind Shaki in that panel, where it says she's taking the title of Empress, it almost looks like there's like sand behind her when I was just talking about Crocodile's power. Obviously impossible because she's alive. But an interesting effect for Oda to have put behind her. Maybe she has some sort of power that is similar to Crocodile's. Like in a way that the flame fruit and magma fruit exist, and the kilo and the ton fruit exist. Think of it as ton. You know, Macvice and Miss Valentine's Day. Like, there's always like two of a fruit. So maybe this is like a Paramecia version of something Earth related. Regardless, we are years before the end parts of this story at the beginning.
Savage.
I wonder if we're setting up Ida's death with all of this stuff, giving her characterization, how she's like endearing herself to Loki. Then we get to the Hachinosu stuff, which is great. So, Rox has already taken it over. I know everybody's been saying, like, oh, Silver Axe might have been a Marine and blah, blah, blah. Like, the only thing I don't like about it that I mentioned earlier is because Sengoku says his name in the same breath as, like, the other criminals. But if Silver Axe was a Marine, right? I like the idea of him being introduced by saying, I want to join. When you have everybody else on the crew, like, was, you know, poached, didn't want to be a member of the crew. I don't, other than Loki, like, we haven't really seen anybody say, like, yeah, I want to join the Rox Pirates, but this guy did. And I feel like that's actually important. So I feel like Kyo, Silver Axe, is probably going to be one of the ringleaders of the betrayal against Rox. So maybe he does work for the government. Maybe he is a Marine off of that. And then maybe he is the one that presents the deal from the world government to the others. Like, he creates the separate pact that John and Marlin and some of these other guys end up probably taking. Which is still my headcanon. Based in what we know that a betrayal did happen. I think it's important to note that Silver Axe is Shiki's rival as well, because like I mentioned 2 weeks ago, I don't think that Shiki is going to be one of the ones that betrays Rox, even though he specifically said in the last chapter that he would willingly betray Rox. I think that Oda put that dialogue in Shiki's mouth because he's the one that's actually going to ride for him in the end. There's 2 devil fruits out there. One of them is most likely found on Elbaf, and it's a power that will only be truly unlocked if Harold eats it. So it's either something with Harold's lineage, or that he needs an ancient giant to be able to control the power. Which, if it's something ancient giant related, then that might explain Blackbeard's belt and the connections to ores. Crazy that, like, Big Mom has this information network, right? She's looking for a band of frozen giants, and meanwhile, she was working with Caesar Clown on the giantification project, and it never came up. It's like, you had connections to the island where these all these people are held. Puts the information network into question. If they exist, they're corpses. Good point. They're not coming back to life. I feel like if Oda is going out of his way to say they're not coming back to life, somehow we're going to find a way to reanimate them. Plus, even if they were somehow brought back, they have no reason to listen to you. Plus, even if they were to somehow be brought back, Oda is telling us that these characters will be brought back. All of these lines saying, oh, this can't happen, this can't happen, this can't happen, he's letting us know, he's putting it in our head, but so that we subconsciously put it in the back of our head so we forget about it. And then later on, when he does bring them back, we're like, wow, he said we couldn't do that. That's writing. That's why I need the power of Harold, King of Elbaf. So something with the power will cause them to bend the knee. And it may just be because of the fact that they're from the Void Century and everything, they would listen to whoever has inherited the power of Nika. So maybe that's just what it is. There's enough folks. Elbaf's the key to taking down the Holy Land. And the Holy Land has just come to Elbaf. So it's up to you whether or not you want to follow me on the fateful day of our mission. Alright. Looking at chat. Neil Superden said, Hiredin, you got 2 minutes, Loki. Explain Dad's death. Loki. Well, you first have to understand how hot Shaki was and how much Roger loved her. Pretty much. Like, the flashbacks within the flashbacks are insane. Like, there is no cohesive line of thinking with this. And most writers would say, well, that's not structured, because it's a lot of, you're supposed to be saying, this happens, therefore this happens. This chapter starts, and then Roger did the blah blah blah, and it's like, there's no. It's hard to blend these things because you don't know who the POV is, because there's no consistent character throughout every single part of this. It's still hype. It's still great. We need all of this information. But it's just happening. Alex Meeran said dust fruit. I mean, that's pretty good. AJ said dust fruit. He says also there when we first see Gloriosa, and also with Hancock. Interesting. Ren, is the Luffy smile you're looking for the one at Wano's end when he remembers Shanks because Shanks is nearby? Maybe. What would that have been? 1054? 5354. $10.55. It's kind of close. It's not perfect. But it just goes to show that like Oda does this a lot. I feel like there's like a colored panel of it where the background is yellow. But that's a great example, BK, at the end of 10:55. And while we're at it, since I'm here, 10:56, what happened? What happened 100 chapters ago? The Cross Guild was introduced. Oh, man. Alright, so the math piece of this 100 chapters ago is that we got the Cross Guild poster. Love that. I said One Piece 2032. I don't know. I feel like we could end sooner than that, man. Trying to say Kyo being Barrel's dad makes sense. The X on the chin, the Marine under guise as a pirate, perhaps. I mean, the X on the glasses as well. Like, I'm not going to fully throw it out, but he's like twice the size of Barrels and Drake. So, I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. People like games. So, Randy, any more theories? Luffy lineage still the best one in recent memory. Well, I throw them out at every, you know, pretty much every week here when we got a chapter. You know, but we'll figure things out. I've just been really busy, guys. Saeed said this chapter's 44 years ago. That makes sense. I was saying like 42, 43. So putting it at 44 is fine. Because the chapter ended with 4 years passing. So if Gloriosa joined the Rocks Pirates 44 years ago, that means Shaki was only Kuchi captain for 2 years. Huh. Because do we have an exact timeline of when Shaki, like, took over the country? Like, was that given to us so that we were able to figure out the timeline there through that? I mean, I'll just trust for now. I knew it had to be 40-something years ago, though. Like, we're not at the 38-year mark, but we might be at the end of the chapter because Kaido's there. Luke said that's such a good point, Randy. Which point did I make? Because I'm seeing it after the fact. Crossguild will get Moria rid of him. It's just, we're gonna get that thing where in chapter 0,
Savage.
like all of the people that are watching the execution, including Doflamingo, they're gonna somehow end up on Crossguild. Shakti Merengue said 1056 chapter is Crossguild because 1156 we see their parents. Rox, Buggy, Shaki, Rayleigh, Mihawk, Tratoma Crocodile. Tratoma's Crocodile's mom. I mean, you know, that would be funny if, like, this whole time I'm thinking that Tratoma is Luffy's mom, but then it turns out to be Crocodile's mom. And it's like, it's just, you know, with Croco Mom, like, that's just funny. I don't think that Tratoma can be Crocodile's mom, though, just because we start this chapter essentially like 44 years ago, and Crocodile's 48 years old. So that means that if Tratoma was Crocodile's mom, she gave birth at like 8 years old or something. Said said that in chapter 498, Shaki said she washed her hands of pirating 42 years ago. Oh, the Big Mom giantification thing, yeah. AD Wolf, Supered, appreciate you, said, where does Ripley fit in this flashback? Is she not from Elbaf? That's a good point, that we haven't seen Ripley in the flashbacks at all. I wanted her to be another child of Harold, but at this point I feel like we should be seeing her. I don't know. I feel like she is from Elbaf because she like embodies all of their old values, but and I also feel like Oda's setting her up to, you know, something tragic to happen between her and Kaban. So it's like having her in the flashback would have, you know, worked to you know, endear us to her a little more. That's a great point. She really should be there, and she's not. I said, getting called away. See you later, Savage Crew. We're wrapping up anyway. Next couple minutes here. We saw Ripley at the start of the flashback? Really? I missed that, I think. Killer Comedy TV said W chapter. Oh yeah, we're eating, we're feasting. This is peak. This is like the Reverie all over again. Every week. Hope it stays like this. I don't care if we get 10 more chapters of it. It'll probably only be like 2 or 3, but I'm here for it. Oh, you're talking about that flashback when we see her with Kaban and Shanks. That beginning of the chapter. I thought you meant like beginning like with the Herald stuff. Like, Killer Comedy said, missed the streams. Hard to catch them these days. Yeah, you know, life happens. It's all good, Killer Comedy. But it's just good. It's good to see you. Good to see you back. All right, guys. Any last things you guys want to get in? Otherwise, I gotta run and handle some stuff. But I want to appreciate everybody for coming through. It was a great chapter. I do feel like we actually did cover everything. I think it's... I'll try to set up a theory for theory, because I think there is a bunch of stuff that's able to talk about, but... Or... Maybe I can find the time. I did write a video last week that I wanted, but things were crazy with Comic-Con, and I've had friends visiting from out of town. So I just haven't been able to do anything. But I wrote a video. Nothing in the video is really debunked by this chapter, so could shoot that, could add some more stuff from this chapter into it. We'll see. We'll see how my schedule pans out. Any new Loki fruit predictions? Not particularly. I'm still feel like it's just got to be something that helps like manifest things into existence. Big Stinky said, "Can we get a Luna Pina art theory for theory?" I mean, Ty was just talking about them earlier. I'm not familiar with them, so I gotta. And I'm not that familiar with Dawn of Dusk either. I'd have to watch, some of their videos to like sort of catch the vibe also, and I don't know how to contact them. But we'll figure things out. All right. I'll try and work on some things. And if I get too busy, either way, we'll be back here for 11:57 in 2 weeks, because it looks like we're on break. Ugh. But hey, at least we're eating good. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. And appreciate you guys as always. You guys have a great, great weekend, great week, great break week. And as always, stay tuned for community posts or stuff in the Discord as far as if a video comes out, if we're doing a theory for theory, who that guest would be, all that information will come there before we do anything else. Later, guys. And this chapter does get this.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.